metrics like GDP, but by how many of us have a role we find meaningful. We should explore ideas like universal basic income to make sure that everyone has a cushion to try new ideas. We're all going to change jobs and roles many times, so we need affordable childcare to get to work and healthcare that's not...
This is going to be a massive social challenge. And I think ultimately we will have to have some kind of universal basic income. I don't think we're going to have a choice.
Universal basic income.
Universal basic income. I think it's going to be necessary.
So it means that unemployed people will be paid across the globe.
Yeah.
Because there is no job, machine, robot is taking over.
That's simply and I want to be clear that these are not things that I think that I wish would happen. These are simply things that I think probably will happen. And since if my
thoughts, sticking on artificial intelligence a little bit about the displacement of jobs, that's another perspective that candidates like Andrew Yang talk about. Well,
Yang Gang forever.
Yang Gang. So he unfortunately, speaking of Yang Gang, has recently dropped out.
I know, it was very disappointing and depressing.
Yeah, but on the positive side, he's, I think, launching a podcast. So,
really? Cool.
Yeah, he just announced that. I'm sure he'll try to talk you into trying to come onto the podcast. So
about Ratatouille?
Yeah, maybe he'll be more welcoming of the Ratatouille argument. What are your thoughts on his concerns of the displacement of jobs, of automations, of course, there's positive impacts that could come.
Hey, you, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're having a great weekend. So we got a little intro there, and obviously we heard some opinions of some of the big names in technology, social media, Elon Musk, Jack Dorsey, Mark Zuckerberg, and they all have looked at the bones, right, the omens, and they keep going back to this universal basic income thing. And if you watch the channel, you know we're big proponents of it. Now, there's a reason for all of this. And in today's video, we're going to talk not only to the Polkadot community, but this video is for everybody. We're gonna, we mostly focus now on Polkadot because we think it's the technology of tomorrow, and we're part of that ecosystem at this point in time. But I think it's important that we, or I in this video, call out Jack Dorsey, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, because they clearly recognize a very dangerous, looming threat here on the horizon and what to do about it. And sometimes you just don't know what to do about it. And as a collective, part of this human family, there are a lot of great ideas out here, and there are a lot of ways for Bitcoin and MYK. We believe we're one of them, and we want to present that today to everybody to get a full grasp and understanding of this. But looking at Polkadot and comparing it to Bitcoin, as you can see in the article we're talking about as well, is Bitcoin dying, right? So Polkadot, useful technology of tomorrow, right? Smart contracts that people are going to have real life applications for. And in comparison, nothing's built on Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not used for much of anything. It's not a currency, so it's not going to be really used in transactions like a lot of people believe it. It's just not practical. But it's one thing to just, speak from one's own head, and data is another thing. So let's look at data, and let's look at Bitcoin's interest over the last, and this is Google Trends, right? And this is going to just give us an indication, because obviously interest and search and participation is what drives value. But if we go back, this is going back 5 years on Bitcoin. Look at this graph, right? You see a large peak in Bitcoin from 2017 to the early part of 2018. And look how this thing levels out. It levels out on this chart and graph. It's almost like a flat line after that. And a lot of us believe, because during that period of 2017, 2018, obviously, a lot of hype went into Bitcoin. But there's a thing in investing we call churning. And a lot of us believe what happened is people jumped in, lost a lot of money in Bitcoin. Bitcoin really hasn't recovered. In fact, Bitcoin's had difficulty even maintaining its value prior to even going that high, right? So Bitcoin hasn't recovered. And, you know, there have been many narratives after the point. Of course, the ICO craze drove a lot of this, and then we had the stable coin craze. We had the IEOs, and then we had the Bitcoin halving, and now we have the DeFi, and so on and so forth. So we have these many reinventions and stories of cryptocurrency month after month. But when you look back, where's that technology now, and where is the advancement to the space and value to the space prior to that? Look at the market cap. The market cap hasn't done very well. So here's my message, and here's what I'm trying to say about all this. Is Bitcoin dying? Yes, I think Bitcoin is dying. I don't think the narrative of Bitcoin is one that most people are going to care about. What do people care about? Well, they care about what the beginning of this video is talking about. Talking about losing their jobs. Talking about what happens if that happens to them, right? Talking about global pandemics and how do you survive in the interim, right? These things that matter to everyday people. And unfortunately, the cryptocurrency space, it plays out like an online casino, and that's just the fact of the matter. That is not the best use of some of the most advanced technology in the world. And unfortunately, many people at the top of this industry, I don't think quite understand that. So what's the solution to all this? If my belief is cryptocurrency is going the wrong way, and that many of us don't know what we're doing here, what is the alternative, and what would be the right way? So let's talk about that a little bit. So Btcmyk, part of the Polkadot community, which I think will be a top 10 cryptocurrency. And the reason is for the start of this video. So when we look at what people need, right, that's what's going to drive the demand and supply and demand. And one huge problem with universal basic income, if you're going to have a universal basic income project, is they're never sustainable. I don't care how good their intentions are, they just don't make sense. How Btcmyk gets around that is, we believe, and this is a theory not many people agree with, but we believe every cryptocurrency after Bitcoin dilutes Bitcoin. In other words, we believe it's still a small space, so we don't believe it's necessarily more money pouring into cryptocurrency, and we could tell that by the size of the market caps. But what we do believe is, we believe that the existing money that's being circulated in cryptocurrency moves from cryptocurrency to cryptocurrency. And because of that, most cryptocurrencies have a Bitcoin trading pair, and a lot of that money is being dissipated. Instead of trying to create new products, right, that most things, as most Bitcoin maximalists would agree, you can already do with Bitcoin. We believe we should be part of Bitcoin, merge with Bitcoin, fork from Bitcoin in a sense, and intertradable with Bitcoin, right? And so that's what Btcmyk is. Btcmyk, we believe, is doing something that is really going to serve the desires of the people, serve their needs through universal basic income. Also, by absorbing the Bitcoin network, instead of taking money away from Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, we are now able to bring in more value and merge with it, right? And that's very important if you agree with our theory, and we can go on about it. But some people believe that, and we happen to believe that. Now, being able to do that, we think will drive people's interest into getting into cryptocurrency. Something desperately needed, right? Something that is a necessity almost with them, and not just a good idea or a business idea or something like that, or a business investment. This is something that we believe humanity will need in the future. Bitcoin MYK has interesting tokenomics. As the value of it grows and more people come in, the token decreases. Now, you might ask, why is that done? Well, that's part of gamification. We think it's important to keep that in cryptocurrencies. It's been a pillar of driving cryptocurrency value. So we don't want to necessarily remove that, right? We want to keep that interesting game theory going in that. But at the same time, we have to build a product that is really going to be used by the masses of people, right? And the way Bitcoin MYK works, it works similar to how Facebook Libra Coin would have worked, and that is massive growth through a social network where data is an optional choice to be sold and used and valued, and you gain from it. Because here's what we believe. We don't believe that the problem is that companies take your data, make money off of it, and take your privacy from you. That's not the problem. And I think cryptocurrency jumps the gun on saying such products shouldn't exist. That's not true. That's not what the problem is. The problem is these companies do it and they make money from your data, but you don't, and you should be compensated for it. You also should have the option to choose if you want that or not, right? So in other words, if you're a person who believes that these social networks in the design they are